Hello everybody, this is Green Spirit. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see from the title of this video, I've gone ahead and decided to finish off the 2017 YouTube Pagan Challenge. I cannot believe that we are already here at the end of an entire year. I have fallen severely behind with this challenge. I am on question, it looks like 28. I have it pulled up here, but I did want to go ahead and finish it. For me, this year has gone super duper fast, and I'm really sorry I got so behind. Life got in the way, school got in the way, and then, with me being a little blue and over the last few months, it hasn't helped kind of stay on track with it. But I do just want to go ahead and finish it off if I can. I am feeling a lot better, which is really good, and I hope that this new year kind of gets me out of the funk that I am in, and I will make another video on what my plans are for the next beginning of the year. I am taking next semester off, and so I've got some plans that I want to do, and maybe I'll make a video on what those plans are. But I'm going to try to get through this 2017 challenge. Again, I'm on question 28. There's 52 questions total, so we have a challenge ahead of us. So the first one is question 28 was chants and songs. I do chants and songs. Typically, they are written by me, either in the form of actual lyrics, or a lot of times I reference poetry that I write. I write quite a lot of poetry. If something in a book really catches my interest and I can incorporate it into my practice, then I certainly go ahead and do that. One that I say in particular comes from back in my teen years when I read Silver Raven Wolf's Teen Witch, and I say this every morning because I really like what it says, and so I'm just going to say it really quick and then we'll move on. It says, "Blessed be my feet that walk the path of the Lord and Lady. Blessed be my knees that I may kneel at the sacred altar. Blessed be my heart that beats the drum of compassion. Blessed be my lips that they may speak the truth. Blessed be my eyes that they may see the wisdom of spirit. May the love of the Lord and Lady be within and around me as I begin my journey through life this day." And I modified this chant when my son was born. I used it as a blessing upon him when he was born. Obviously, I changed it a little bit so that it fit the occasion, but it's just a very simple, very basic chant that I think gets me started in a good way every day. And a lot of times I add a certain musical tone to it that I have created for it. Okay. Next question, healing or therapeutic techniques. As far as healing and therapeutic techniques, typically I have a bit of back problems. So when it comes to healing, I tend to use a lot of chiropractic work, and that really has been a very big blessing for me. I had never gone to a chiropractor in my life. I've had back problems from a young age, and once my back went out so bad that I was literally, and actually this has happened more than once, but this was the original time, I was literally like bent over at like 90 degrees, and my husband had grown up with going to the chiropractor, and so he kind of encouraged me to go, and I haven't looked back. It's just wonderful. I always feel a lot better after going. Other therapeutic techniques that I use for self-healing would be like aromatherapy. I recommend this wholeheartedly because I am one of those people that tend to get sick quite often, and ever since I started using aromatherapy with my essential oil diffuser, I have not gotten sick in a year. Knock on wood. I don't get sick in the last couple weeks of 2017, but it's very, very exciting for me because I spent a lot of time being sick. And then also I have recently started going to a rofer. Usually they use a lot of energy work as well as muscle manipulation. And those are the kind of healing, therapeutic, and I hope that's the kind of question this is referring to. I don't know if it's asking about something else. I have had one session of Reiki, which I enjoyed, and I'd like to try that again in the future. Cursing, binding, or banishing techniques is the next one. Cursing, I'm sorry, my heater just turned on, so I hope it's not too loud for you guys. As far as cursing, binding, and banishing, I don't typically curse lightly. I've only ever done it, I guess, once, and it was relatively recent. I'm not gonna count. How do I put this? Okay, so I've done one real cursing one, and it was a jar spell that contained all kinds of nifty things in there: shards of glass, pins, nails, all kinds of stuff, just like a normal jar spell. There was I used skull candles to represent protection and banishing from my ancestors. It was directed towards a specific person in my family. When I found out, I was like, hell no. But I don't curse lightly. I tend to walk on a more um, lighted than darkened path, but I do think that when it's necessary, and you have to know how to handle yourself. I don't recommend that you do it without really taking into consideration what you're going to be taking on in that way, because I think it shifts your energy a bit, and then the energy of the things that you project, and you have to be prepared for that. Um, I've only ever done I've only ever done one other binding. Again, that's not something I do lightly. I only do it when necessary. And as far as banishing, I've done one banishing. That was, I mean, I do daily banishing to kind of, to keep negativity, normal negativity away. Mostly it's just energy work, bubbles, shields, that kind of stuff. Um, but I have done a full-on ritual for a specific banishing back in my old home, because I had a person that was very aggressive towards me and my family and my property, to the point where the police got involved on more than one occasion. Again, I am not the type of person that would normally, engage with anybody, but this was getting to the point where I was like, okay, I'm done. That's it, I'm done. And they never came back. So, yeah, so when necessary, I will go that way, but I typically don't do it lightly. Next question: how to enhance your dreams, have prophetic dreams, prevent nightmares, and aid sleep? Um, as far as enhancing dreams, you can use crystals such as amethyst. Um, you can make amethyst oil. Lady Grave Dancer has a wonderful video on how to make amethyst oil, so I would encourage you to go check that out. You can also use mugwort oil. I have a mugwort anointing oil that I use. Um, Also, sometimes it's just helpful to kind of say a specific um, keyword to yourself every night, saying, you have to choose your own words, but if you kind of program yourself into having those kind of lucid or prophetic dreams, usually you're pretty good about that, and depends on how um, connected you are to your intuition. If you have never done any kind of intuition work and you kind of blocked, it might take a little while to kind of condition yourself to be in that position. For others, you are always kind of open, and so you get a lot of prophetic things. I do get dreams and prophetic dreams, but mostly when I have some kind of prophecy, it usually happens in my waking life, where I get flashes in my mind's eye of things that will occur. Even it's very much like a snapshot of a second in time. Sometimes it can be hard for me to distinguish what the message is until after. I'm still kind of working on that. I used to be a lot better at it as a child. When you grow up, sometimes you lose that a little bit depending on your circumstance. So it's something I'm actively trying to kind of make better. As far as preventing nightmares, Lavender essential oil is wonderful to prevent nightmares, and I tried this with my son. I just put a couple of drops of lavender essential oil directly onto his pillow, and there was a period of time where he was having nightmares every night, constantly. And these were not just normal nightmares, these were almost to the point that they were night terrors. And once I figured out that lavender essential oil on his pillow, I guess because it has such a soothing effect, it stopped that from happening. I also believe in dream catchers, which I've created myself, and not in the traditional way, although I'd love to learn. I crochet, and so I crocheted a dream catcher for him. And then let's see, what's another one? Oh, also we work we work I work with Archangel Michael, and my son has now been introduced to Archangel Michael, and he says a prayer to Archangel Michael every night to use his mighty sword to slash away any negativity and bad dreams. And it seems that that's been helping as well. As far as aid sleep, pretty much by the old standbys. Again, essential oils are good. Um, Chamomile, valerian, kind of very holistic kind of way. Uh, Meditation techniques, question 32. I'm going to be honest. Ooh, I have to adjust my foot here. I'm sorry, guys. Meditation techniques. I have found that the best technique for me is to actually have either like conscious meditation where I'm walking somewhere, or um, I'm by a river or a lake so that I can look at something. Sitting down and just trying to silence my monkey brain and try to concentrate on just doing that is extremely hard for me. Usually, if I am going to go ahead and close my eyes and try to meditate, it has to be outside where I can hear the wind in the trees and the birds and the rustling in the grass, because the strict silence, I don't know what it is, but it just makes me unfocused so much more. I have actively gone to a meditation class with somebody that was a Buddhist practitioner who had trained under a Buddhist monk, and it was a wonderful class, and I learned a lot about different kinds of mudras. However, I am one that needs to be engaged. I also really, really, really enjoy what's the word? Uh, Mind blank. Uh, Especially basically just talked meditations. Like I like when somebody guided. That's the word. Guided meditations. Those are perfect for me, again, because I feel like I'm engaged in the process and not just sitting there. So if you have, oh, sorry, I have to move you guys. If you guys have had trouble meditating in the past, I would very much suggest that you try different forms of meditation, because there are so many different kinds, and not one thing suits everybody. So go ahead and try as many as you can until you find the right one for you. Okay, gardening foraging tips. Well, right now I'm in an apartment, so I don't have a garden, but and I can't say that I'm a very avid gardener in order to give tips on gardening. It's something that in my previous home I did have space for a garden, but the extent of my gardening skills was planting a few tomato plants and planting some calendula and some sage and some rosemary and some basic herbs. But I am not um, a gardener to the extent that I would consider myself that, so I can't really give you tips in that way. As far as foraging, I do like to forage for magical and medicinal plants when I can. The only best advice that I can give you is to know your stuff. Um, Make sure that you know how to identify a plant every which way that you can. You want to know its baneful properties. So if it's poisonous and you want to know its positive properties, but make sure you know your stuff. Go ahead and get a book or several books that you can cross-reference against each other. It is extremely important because it is very, very, very easy to misidentify something. A lot of times plants look very, very similar, and it's very hard to tell what you've got, and if you end up not knowing what you've got, um, you can certainly put yourself in a really negative or bad situation. So that's the only information I have as far as that. Number 34, ritual knives and swords. So I do not have anathema. I tried using anathema early on in my practice. Personally, it's just not something that calls to me. I have really no interest in having anathema. I ended up regifting it. I've had a couple and I've tried in different ways, but again, I just keep regifting them because it's not something that calls out to me, and certainly the sword is not my thing either. So I don't have ritual knives in that way. Um, as far as knives like a bowline, I do own one, and I do specifically use it when I go foraging or harvesting, especially if I go to like the woods or something, and I do use it to cut small uh, amounts of plant material. But it's not consecrated or anything. I don't have it here with me right now, but actually what I wanted a bowline in the traditional sense and kind of like that curve shape because I thought that's what you needed earlier in my practice. And so I have one, but it's not what you would think. It's actually a carpet knife. Um, I encourage you to go on Google and like look at a carpet knife because it's got a bit of a curve to it. And it works really well for herbs. It's just I have to keep it sharp. Um, yeah, that's about it. Ritual wands and staff. I have shown my wand before on here. I think it's on one of my altar tour videos. So if you want to go and look at one of my videos, check them out. I do have a wand. I've had several. Some I've gifted. One, I don't know what happened to it. I had it. I've moved so much that in some kind of move I lost it. Um, Usually the wands I make myself. Again, go to one of my videos, altar tours. I think, let's see. If you go to my travel altar, you will see my wand. So go check that one out. But I did make it myself. I made it out of a branch of a rose bush because roses are associated with my matron goddess, and so I made it out of a hardy piece of wood from a rose bush at my previous home, and I whittled it myself, and I painted it, and I wood burned it, and I added a quartz crystal. And it's actually traditionally they're pretty long. They're usually from like the tip of your finger to your elbow. That's supposedly the traditional length, but honestly, Moody Thursday used to be on here, and she had a small wand that she got from like a Renaissance fair. It was like one of those hairpins, but she saw it and she thought, oh, this is a great one. And I thought, oh my gosh, I love the size of that. That's so much more practical. And so I went ahead and made another wand, and it's about this long. So it's very short and very practical, and it fits in my travel altar, which is amazing. So yeah, and this is another thing. Traditionally, wands are associated with the element of fire as far as I know, that I've ever seen, but I do not associate it with the element of fire. I actually associate it with the element of air. And the reason for that is that when I am casting circle, um, when I'm envisioning my circle going up, I feel it coming out of the ground, but as it's coming up, I see a burst in my mind's eye. I see a burst of like colored air coming out of my wand. So I associate it with the element of air and not fire. Ritual cups and bowls. Um, besides my chalice, I don't have specific um, cups or bowls that I say, ooh, this is my, libation bowl or anything like that. I usually just either make things or thrift stuff that I find visually appealing that resonates with me, and that's what I use. With the exception of maybe the little cauldron, the little green cauldron that I got in one of my hauls this year with the serpent, which I consider that a ritual bowl. It's made of ceramic, and that's where I keep my salt water, and I anoint myself when I go into my sacred space. But besides that, I don't designate any particular spiritual significance to bowls and such. Ritual robes, headdresses, and jewelry. Um, let's see. I actually, let's see. Okay, so, sorry, distracted, guys. As far as ritual robes, I do not have any. Um, there was a time in my life where I thought, oh yes, I will definitely incorporate robes into my practice, and that's something I really want to do, and I started to try to learn to sew so that I could do it. But honestly, I kind of lost interest, and I haven't had any other interest to have specific robes for ritual. Um, I guess if something came along that I really, really liked, I might consider it, but I personally don't think it's necessary. And I'm not one to do ritual skyclad either, mostly because, hmm, I guess it's just I like to be comfortable, and I feel like I'd be cold. So I don't know. I don't have any ritual robes that I use or headdresses. And as far as jewelry, um, it's just my everyday jewelry. I don't have earrings on right now, but I have, you've seen my rings before. When you guys have seen my hauls, and I have my hands up in there. But usually it's just the jewelry that I wear all the time. Recently, I did get this evil eye bracelet, um, and then I just got this crystal moonstone chip bracelet. Actually, I got it from Wish, and I may make a video about ritual items that I've gotten from Wish lately, which um, obviously it won't be unboxing, but I was quite surprised by the quality of the things that I've received. So maybe if I receive a couple more, I'll do a video and kind of show you what I got so you guys can decide if you really want to invest in going ahead and doing Wish. Okay, let's see. Question 38. Most used stones and crystals, their meaning and purpose. By far, it's got to be black tourmaline. I use a lot of black tourmaline. I do use other stones like amber. Amber I use because it connects me to the earth element. I connect it to trees, of course. Remember, connected to trees, so that's their symbolism for me. I consider them to be very wise, and so I feel like amber is a stone of our ancestors because it takes, a couple thousand years to form and from the sap of a tree. Black tourmaline, however, is probably my favorite stone. I love black tourmaline. It's so grounding. It clears me of negativity so well. It just makes me feel so much better. Recently, like I showed you in a previous haul video, I got this. It's can't pronounce that. Rutilated quartz, but it's got pieces of black tourmaline. The quartz enhances the tourmaline, and I wear this now, and I honestly think that this has helped a lot with, I've been suffering from depression over the last few months, and since I've gotten this stone and I've activated it and charged it and I've been wearing it, it's really helped me to kind of focus, because when you are going through depression, it can make it so hard to focus on things that you need to do. And I'm definitely feeling a difference. And again, I've been using black tourmaline a lot, and it's been helping so much. So that's probably my favorite stone. And you cannot go wrong with clear quartz or milky quartz. I know it's boring and kind of basic, but those are my favorite. And also, and I know you guys can't see this, you can't tell that it's pink, but rose quartz is also something because I really like its vibration. It's just so gentle and loving and peaceful. So I like pretty much that. So it's nothing crazy. Let's see. Love spells and aphrodisiacs. Sorry guys, I am not a proponent of love spells typically. Um, as far as like traditional love spells, like to gain somebody, I've never done one. I've never, even when I was really feeling really low about myself and really wanted a relationship, I've never done a love spell. I don't know. It's not my thing. You have to be really careful with love spells, and I think that's part of it is a little bit of fear, and it's just, again, it's not my thing. As far as self-love, I've certainly done many of those kind of spells because I struggle with self-acceptance, self-love, and so certainly that I do and have done. In fact, I have a current working on my altar right now for self-love and healing. But as far as the traditional sense of love spells, I've never done one. I don't foresee myself doing one as I am married and I have my spouse who I love. As far as aphrodisiacs, that's another thing that I've never used. However, I'm not opposed to using the occasional aphrodisiac. I've just never had cause for it, so I have never used that. Number 40, money, magic, prosperity spells. Yes. So, because I'm a very like grounded person, I do believe that sometimes it's very necessary to do certain spells for money, and I am not opposed to that. And prosperity magic, typically it will be some kind of candle magic. Fun thing to do is if you go to like the dollar store, you can go into the kids play section and get some money that's fake money, but it actually has like the real money, not like Monopoly money, which is like different colors, but like regular money that just happens to be, toy money. And I've used that for candle spells. I've also stuck them in my wallet so that, and I've charged it with the intent that I always have money in my wallet. Certainly I've done that. Um, so, yeah, I don't know. Number 41, charitable work, what you can do to help the community and environment. I'm going to be honest, this year it has not been something that I've really done. In the past, I've typically donated to environmental, environmental and animal welfare causes. I've bought pieces of rainforest. I've contributed to those types of things. Typically, I'm always signing petitions and sending letters to, you know, government to try to petition for things. I'm here in the United States, and with our current political climate, um, it's very difficult to feel like you're making any headway or a difference when you know that the people that are currently in charge are doing what it seems like everything possible to kind of go against um, whether it's the environment or people of limited means. So this year has been particularly hard because I feel my voice isn't as resounding as it was in past years. So, but as far as that kind of thing, I have donated to things in the past, and I am not opposed to doing that again. And again, it also has to do a lot with the mood uh, that I've been in over the last few months. So that kind of thing. Number 42, contacting spirits of nature, gnomes, fairies, etc. Absolutely. I think you can absolutely contact nature spirits. My son and I have left offerings for the fairies, honey, milk, that kind of stuff, sugar, little crystals. I think it's just as easy as contacting them is just as easy as speaking out loud. I feel like they do exist within the home and outside of the home, and I think whether you acknowledge them or not is whether you will actually get the privilege of engaging with them. So I just try to be respectful, and if I do feel that I want that kind of energy, you know, I just speak to them and I leave little offerings, but I am also very aware that you do not want to mess with nature spirits such as fairies because um, they're more powerful than I think most people give them credit and can be a little bit of tricksters. And I mean that in a positive way, but you have to be careful. I've always had this thing about the fairies. Um, Although I acknowledge them and have left offerings for them, I don't typically deal with them a whole lot. I've always had this kind of weird thing about the fog, like when it's foggy or misty outside. I feel like I could feel like at those times that the veil is um, easily shifting. And so every time it gets really foggy, I always feel that fairy presence really strongly, and I always have had this a little bit of a fear, and maybe it's irrational and you might all think I'm crazy, but I've always had this little bit of a fear that I could walk into that other world of the Fae. Although I feel like they are here presently always, I feel like there's an actual Fae world, and I think it would be easy to kind of walk into that. I don't know. I've always had that. So, quick little fact there. Spirit, mediumship, possession, and channeling. I don't. I agree that possession can happen. I've never experienced it, nor do I ever want to. That's not something that draws attention to me. I'm be a little just afraid of not being in control of my own self um, in that way. So I have no interest in spirit possession. Spirit mediumship, I do see spirits. I've seen them since a young age. Um, Most of the time, they don't really say anything. They're just around. And I don't see them like constantly. This isn't like the Sixth Sense where it's like I see dead people around me, but I know they're there. And a lot of times, I've had experiences where they have presented themselves and then they've just left. I see a lot of spirit orbs as well. Um, but really, they don't usually say anything to me. It's just more that they just show up and then they're gone. And then as far as spirit channeling, I feel like the most I've ever channeled is through my spirit board. That is in one of my very first videos on this channel. Um, but again, I only do it for so long, or I don't do it extensively because as far as like speaking to spirits, like my ancestors, I speak to them all the time. So I don't, and usually I'll feel an answer if I have a question from my immediate spirit family, and I don't typically look outside of that spirit family for advice or guidance or anything like that. I kind of stick to my own spirit family. So. Uh, Recovering, number 44, recovering past life memories. I um I would love to do a regression. I have not done a regression, but I'm hoping that maybe in the new year I will. There is a metaphysical fair that happens like 3 hours away or so, or 2 hours away. that I went to last year, and I really wish I had given myself enough time to do it. So I plan to do that in the future. I haven't done it yet. I have done some work with a medium who has looked into past lives for me. Um, Specifically, I've mentioned this before, I am a twin flame, and I've had information given to me about my relationship with my twin. Um, and then the only other experience that I've had is when I first moved to the state that I was previously in. Um, I I am not a Druid, although I respect Druidism. It's not my area. But when I first moved to the state that I was living in previously, I had gone to what is it? Pagan Pride Day, and there were a lot of booths, and I was brand new and I hadn't met anybody, and I was just kind of looking at different organizations, different groups and covens and groves, and I was just reading through all their pamphlets, and I got talking to this one girl who she and I became friends, and right away she told me she belonged to this group, and she invited me, and I was so excited that she was willing to engage me that I started going to this weekly Grove meeting where I was part of a Druid's Grove. Again, I knew that it wasn't going to necessarily, um, it wasn't my forte, but I wanted to kind of keep an open mind. And I learned a lot. And I don't regret that time at all. I made some wonderful friends. But as a part of this is we ended up having a party or a gathering sometime around Yule that I think it was the first or second year. I can't remember. Anyways, there were people from other groves that had come to the celebration, and there was this one girl there that was reading bones for everybody, um, which I thought was incredible. And she was able to tell you your past life. And something that I've always had is that I believe, in no uncertain terms, that I have been a plant many times in a past life. Don't ask me how, either like a normal plant, like a flower or something, but mostly like a tree, a plant of some kind. I feel like I've lived as a plant in many lives before. And I've said, funnily enough, I've said this to like my husband or like friends, like I think in the next life I'd like to come back as like a tree or something. And no one ever takes me seriously, but I honestly feel like I have previously done that. Anywho, and everybody always gives me these like, well, what if you get cut down? I'm like, well, then that will be my my life for that particular life. That will be my fate. Anywho, so I'd gone to this celebration. We did ritual, then we were hanging around, and she was reading bones, and I hadn't said one word to this girl. Again, I was new, and I didn't know a lot of the people who were there, and I didn't engage in that way, and I felt kind of guilty asking her to read, my bones. Like, what I mean bones is like she was casting bones, not like she was reading my skeleton. um, I didn't feel comfortable asking her because I didn't know her. I hadn't said hi to her. I hadn't engaged her in any way, but I thought it was very interesting. I was very shy because if you were to know me in my day-to-day life, people always think that I'm extroverted uh, because I usually am pretty friendly and will talk and engage, but the reality is I'm a very big introvert and people tend to freak me out a little. And people don't usually associate that with me, but that's the truth. Anywho, I was talking to my friend, the one that got me into this grove, and I was like, I'd love to do that, but I'm so embarrassed. She's like, oh, don't be embarrassed. And they were really good friends, so she said, hey, this is my friend, and she'd like to, have this done, but she's too afraid to ask you. Would you do it for her? She's like, oh, yeah, sure, let's do this. And so she sat me down. I sat in front of her, and we said hi, exchanged pleasantries, and I didn't say anything besides hi and how are you and thank you for doing this. Um, nothing. I didn't say anything else. And like one of the first things she said to me was, "Wow, you've been a plant in your past life a lot." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm not crazy. This is real." And it just, oh my God, I was like, I literally like almost fell over. Like I was on the ground and I like almost tipped over just out of like the sheer excitement of having that validation that I'm not crazy. I'm like, oh my God, I told her, I've said that before. No one ever takes me seriously. But obviously she picked up on it right away. So as far as past lives, that's one that I know for sure I've had. Let's see. I don't know how long this video is. I hope I don't have to split it or stop it. Let's see. Uh, Number 45. What kind of pagans were your ancestors? So that's a really hard question to answer because I have European ancestry. Um, I have I have Spanish. I have a little bit of British. I have Greek. I have a little bit of different ancestry on that end. Just a lot of different European countries. So that's, you know, I don't know how else to say that, but you know, as far as like my Mexican ancestry, they were Native American. Um, I am like something like 40 something percent Native American. Um, so that's the type of paganism that they practiced, was just Native American paganism. Let's see. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on because the glare was really strong and I didn't want to have glare on the video, so I had to kind of squint. Number 46, using other languages and alphabets for magical purposes. I speak Spanish. I am fluent. I can read it, write it. So I am fluent in Spanish. The only time that I ever really use Spanish would be as in a prayer in Spanish to my matron goddess, Our Lady of Guadalupe. Usually when I speak specifically Spanish to her, although it's my first language, most of my life is led in English unless I'm around like my mom. But in times of great need and distress, I will speak to her in Spanish, and I feel like that changes the tone from this is a basic need to this is something severe that I need. I need help in. So that's really the only time I use Spanish as another language. As far as alphabets for magical purposes, runes is what I've used in the past. Typically, I don't write in runes a lot. Usually, if it's a very specific purpose. So, for example, for my spirit board that I made, that again is in one of my earlier videos, I did write a rune message onto it for protection. I use it very rarely, but I do use it when needed. So I don't just write in runes or anything like that. 47. How important is magic to your life? How would it be different if you never used magic? Oh my gosh. The practice of magic, the actual act of magic, it's become so engraved into everything that I do. Um, I don't think I think I could certainly live without magic. I mean, I'm human, I could eat and drink water and take care of myself, but I think my life would sorely be lacking. Um, how would it be different if you never used magic? Well, if I never used it, how would I know what I'd be missing? I don't know. But I think even people who don't practice a magical path, they use magic every day, they just don't realize that they're doing it. So I think it's essential to life in general. I think it's just part of us, and it'd be difficult to imagine life without it. Because there's magic in a lot of things. There's magic in nature. There's magic in the kiss that you give to the person you love. There's magic in seeing, your baby sleep. It's I don't know. I can't imagine it. So, number 48, how would your path be? Oh, sorry. Oh, yes it is. How would your path be different if you lived on another planet such as Mars colony? Um, I guess I don't know. I've never considered that. I think we should take care of the planet that we're on and not focus so much on going to another planet. But I guess if I was there, I would try to adapt and try to connect with the energy of that planet. No, I don't know. Let's see, number 49. Show us your favorite DIY technique, such as candle making, wood carving. Oh, goodness. I don't know what I have around me. So I do a lot of crafts. I do wood burning. I paint. I crochet. I make candles. I make oils. Um, I use clay. I'm an artist in a lot of ways, so it'd be hard to say one specific thing, but I do have painting and you know, there you go. If you need more than that, then you should just watch my channel for when I make crafts. Okay. Um, Show us your favorite pagan witchy shops. Honestly, I don't have any. Um, Most of the stuff that I do have that is um, for witchy practice, most of the stuff I do have either I make myself or go to a thrift store. I very, very, very rarely shop at witchy stores. Um, Nothing against the stores. I'd be happy to purchase. If something really catches my fancy, sure, I'd buy from a store. But I don't have something that I would say this is my absolute favorite. There is this store called Isis Books in Denver that I really like. But yeah, I don't have anything because I don't typically buy at witchy stores. I typically just make stuff myself or thrift it. And I think that comes, one, just because it's just how I am, but also because I grew up in a very small town that didn't have that kind of stuff. The nearest big city was at least 3 hours away, and so I had to be more ingenious in items for my craft. Um, and although I did grow up with the internet, it wasn't what it is now. So yeah, sorry guys, can't really help you there. Question 51. How do your family, relatives, friends react with your spiritual interests? Um, well, as far as family, I am in the broom closet to them. They are very Catholic. And even I feel like my mom in recent years has even left much of Catholicism and really gone more towards an evangelical bent. So I have no desire or interest to kind of clue them in because of the sheer amount of negativity that I know I will receive. I already receive negativity from them. I know they love me, but I've always been kind of this oddball. And they've let me know it, that I'm not quite up to their standards. And so why would I put myself in that position? You know, Same with relatives. I don't talk to relatives. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm kind of a hermit. If I may say hi or like a picture on like Facebook or something, but I don't talk to any of my relatives, none of them. Mostly because I'm just a private person, but two, because it seems like there's always some kind of drama going on, and I am not one that likes drama. I like staying away from that, and so I really don't talk to anybody. So again, they have no reason to know, and I don't engage in that conversation with them. As far as friends, I have told, I think most of my friends at this point know my spiritual interests. Um, they've been fine with it. I tend to surround myself with people who are open-minded, so they don't, point it out typically. I do have some friends that have shown some interest, outside of friends that practice themselves, but it doesn't really come up. So I don't really talk about it unless you are, of that persuasion yourself, then, we might engage in some awesome conversations, but other than that, it doesn't come up. Let's see. Ooh, last one, guys. Number 52. Imagine the Abrahamic religions died out and everyone was pagan. What would the world be like? I don't foresee this happening, but I guess I feel like it would be a little bit more earth-friendly, eco-friendly, I think, because these are nature-based paths, that we would be more conscious of our relationship to the earth, and we'd be more careful to it. I'd feel like there would still be like craft politics, because, and I'll say that because in my previous home, there were a lot of pagan groups, covens, groves, and such, and everyone was always in some kind of drama with one group or another. And I'm like, okay, we're all pagan here. Why are we still having these petty, you know, petty arguments, petty disagreements? I don't get it. So I feel like, yeah, it would be helpful in some way, but I think the pettiness and kind of the nastiness, the shadow aspects of our society would still be there. They'd just be, a little bit different. But I think they'd still be there. I don't think it would just go away. I do think it would just be more kind of eco-friendly. So guys, that is it. That is the 2017 challenge. I got through all 52 questions. I have no idea how long this video is. I hope it's not too long. I'm so sorry, but I hope that you guys did enjoy watching this video. I certainly enjoyed finishing it off, um, and I'm really glad that I was able to do it because I'm feeling better and I was able to actually sit, focus, and do this. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you enjoyed this video a lot and would like to see future videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. And thank you for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day or night. I will probably upload this tonight or tomorrow at the very latest. But thank you for watching, and blessed be. Goodbye.